We good? Okay. We'll call the meeting to order. This is the time and the place for the September 19, 2023 regular school board meeting for the Marshalltown Community School District. Welcome to those of you joining us here in person. Hopefully you'll stick around for the entire meeting. Maybe. Welcome as well to anybody who might be tuning in to watch via the live stream or who might be watching this at a later date. We'll do introductions of the board members here, starting to my left, Karina Hernandez, Sarah Faltis, and Leah Stanley. To my right, Zach Wall, Bonnie Lowry, and Jan McGinnis. Seated here at the center table with me, to my left, Dr. Theron Schutte, the superintendent of schools, and Mr. Randy Denham, our board secretary, and I am Sean Heitman. We've got a pink sign-up sheet there on the speakers table for anybody who would like to give public comment. You will be given 5 minutes to address the board. Please understand that Iowa law prohibits the discussion of specific employees of the district or their job performance. Please also understand that in accordance with district policy, board members will not respond to comments so that we can comply with open meeting laws. With those matters out of the way, would you all, did I miss anything else, Randy? No, you're good. Good. Would you all please join me in reading the mission statement of the Marshalltown School District? We develop learners who have the knowledge, skills, and positive mindset to successfully pursue a meaningful future through personalized learning experiences. And would you all please stand as you're able and join in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any changes to the agenda tonight?
Yes, we added an amendment from the city of Marshalltown asking for permission to perform construction on some sidewalks in the area of Woodbury Elementary School in conjunction with a Main Street rebuild project that they're going to be pursuing sometime in the next year.
And then in personnel items, Kirk Jones is you'll see him with a strike through his name. He's withdrawn consideration for the full-time sub, so he's going to remain a regular substitute for us. So he's going to be removed as a full-time sub on that. Thanks.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Lowry, Stanley, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Abby?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. So I brought Sebastian Ramirez out tonight. Sebastian's part of the tech team here at Marshalltown Community School District. With any of the stadium hype videos that you've been seeing, you probably noticed the great drone footage with it. That is all due in part because of Sebastian being willing to go out whenever I'm saying, hey, do you have a free 20 minutes that you can fly the drone around and do some experimentation? I saw this really cool clip here. I wonder if you can get it. Sebastian has really been a rock star in that and really being experimental and taking on the lead with that. Along with his skills in drone footage, I know he's been helping out security coordinator Eric Whedon. He's also been getting his certificate and being willing to capture district from the sky. So, Sebastian, if you have a few words to say.
I guess I'd like to thank Amy for letting me go out and do those things. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have the opportunity, and paying for my courses. I've also had the opportunity to work with Theron and Chuck, Todd, and others on this project and coordinate when crew's out there. So it's really exciting seeing Abby's editing skills really show off the footage, and the community seeing it's one of the most viewed videos on our Facebook page. So it's really exciting to see that. So.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Yeah, there's no question, Sebastian, that the work that you and Abby did on that significantly played into the large turnout we had at the ribbon cutting, and there was excitement from people who just as part of their daily routine drove by there, but for those that didn't, I know that I just constantly heard people making positive comments about the videos they were seeing online, so good work.
Thank you. Yeah, nice.
The next recognition, Dr. Nora Ryan will be presenting, so I will step aside.
And I have brought reinforcements. I'd like to introduce my team here. This is Sarah Flugie, one of the HR assistants, and Jackie Eisenbarth. And then our honorary member, Stacy Mommer, the district registrar. She used to be part of our team, but now she is out at the Welcome Center under Shauna's umbrella. Okay. No tears. I don't even know where to begin. So this is Vicki McVeigh, and if you don't know her, you should. I joke about this, but I'm kind of serious. She is really what keeps this district going. On one hand, I firmly believe. She started with the district in 1985 and retired as the food service director in 2013. Took a little bit of time away and then realized she was just missing us too much. And since 2016, she has been one of our most loyal, faithful substitutes, but she's much more than a sub. She has gotten us through so many transitions with staffing. She has onboarded our district receptionist. She has onboarded our warehouse person in B&G, the secretary in B&G. I could go on. She's filled in for longer positions at the schools. So in many ways, Vicki has been our constant. She keeps us going, and we just are so incredibly grateful. And we thought about what can we do for her, and we just wanted the public recognition here in front of you all, and Dr. Schutte, who knows how great she is. But just to say thank you. We couldn't focus on the work that we need to focus on without you in so many ways. You have been so incredibly helpful. We appreciate you. And not just being there, but I like having her to train our new staff because the work that she actually does, it's not just the body, it's the actual work that she is, the knowledge she passes on. So thank you. And in recognition of that honor, in honor of that service to the district, to our families, to our staff, it's just a small token, but we wanted you to know how much we love you and appreciate you, and so we just have a small token for you. And as I tell her all the time, she writes the rules. So anytime we call her and ask if she wants to fill in, we stress it's up to you, but she's always there for us. And one day you will need to step away and be with your family, and we will honor that, but we will miss you. But when that day comes, we'll be ready. We'll be ready because you've helped us all prepare for that. So thank you very much.
Nora, do you want to take the pencil?
Here, I can stand over you.
Three, two, one. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
I would just add that, it's crazy how many different roles that you've filled for us, including as my assistant when I most needed it a couple times, but your work ethic is way above the norm, but the most important thing is just what kind of human being you are and the positivity that you bring and model for everybody in our office on a daily basis, regardless of the circumstances. You're great for us internally, and you're the best for anyone that needs to work with us externally too. So thank you for that.
Thank you, and I wouldn't be coming back if I didn't like all of you guys. Because they do have a very, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, after that much fun, we'll move on to the consent agenda, where we have minutes from the September 5th meeting. Dr. Ryan, any other items to note in personnel? No, sir. Okay. Looking at interagency agreements and contracts, we have personal responsibility education program attestation form to verify requirements specific to funding dictated in House File 766. A Catholic Heart Work Camp school and facility contract for July 14th through 20th of 2024. A memorandum of understanding with Alexito to provide tutoring, mentoring, after-school and academic enrichment opportunities. Contract with the State of Iowa Department of Health and Human Services for Personal Responsibility Education Program effective August 1, 23 through July 31, 24. A contract with the Iowa Department of Health and Human Services for Sexual Risk Avoidance Education Program for August 2023 through July 2024. A no-cost change order for the Marshalltown High School Athletic Campus. Proposal with NAI to install fiber in the Orpheum for esports. And the agreements that Dr. Schutte referenced, granting the City of Marshalltown permission to access the front yard of Woodbury for sidewalk ramps and connecting sidewalks. Questions about any of those agreements or contracts? Looking at open enrollments, there are 8, 7 out and 1 in. Randy, anything to note in bills or in the monthly financials?
No.
Are there any questions for Randy about bills or the monthly financials? We've got a bunch of Chromebooks and a few monitors that the technology department would like to declare obsolete. And we have a research proposal regarding the impact of social, emotional, self-management intervention from Shelby Witzke. And we have one donation to Woodbury Elementary in the amount of $551 from the Kiwanis PM Club of Marshalltown for winter clothing. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Wall, McGinnis, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Nobody's on the pink sheet, so Abby? Amber?
I'll give a rough outline. Yeah. We planned the video so well. Kind of starting off with Embrace the Lead. So the Embrace the Lead district brand video was an idea brought up, how many months ago? I would say 4 or 5 months ago. Somewhere in there by Amber. Dr. Schutte also approached me with the idea. I was definitely excited about it and just thinking about a question that was presented to me when I came to Marshalltown was, why Marshalltown, why Marshalltown? And it was always something that I knew how to speak out about, but really capturing that visually is sometimes really hard to do. So with this video project here, we brought on board Aqui to help capture that image of why Marshalltown and really share the brand of who Marshalltown is and really tell who our story is. There was a lot of hours put into this. I know Aqui and her creative partner, Cal, really put in a lot of video hours coming to the district, recording, editing, late night session to make sure it was all good to go. I know there were quite a few text conversations between Amber and myself that we were so excited to reveal this to the public. I brought Akwi on tonight to talk a little bit about the project as well, her idea that went into it, and share with you the video here tonight. So, Akwi, do you hear us?
Can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Wonderful. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for inviting me into the boardroom with you all. Amber and Abby, thank you so much for your partnership and your collaboration on this project. So as Abby mentioned, it's been several months that we've been working on this project, really a lot of it behind the scenes. And the first approach was to just make sure that we were all on the same page about what we wanted out of this project. And we all certainly agreed that it needed to be a video that could stand to be exposed to a variety of audiences. So staff, students, family, the community, certainly all of those audiences we wanted the video to appeal to. And then we also wanted it to have a long shelf life. So as I've said with Dr. Schutte and with Abby and Amber also at the beginning, the hope is that this isn't just a one and done, that, you know, it showed at the football game or it shows in the next couple of days and then it gets shelved. It's an investment. And it was really a collaboration between the Dr. Schutte and Abby, Amber, and also the administrative team, a committee that we met with, and recognizing at the same time that the timeline on this project was really compressed because we wanted to make sure that we had this product ready to go, ready to launch at the homecoming game. It just felt right with that homecoming game being also in this new stadium. So wanted the process to be collaborative, and then I kept saying to everybody involved that the message needed to be both accurate to what Marshalltown School District currently is and aspirational to what we, a call to action that we hope staff, students, the community can embrace. And so it became Embrace the Lead, recognizing that Marshalltown leads the way, takes the lead in a variety of ways already. And when we were, so the process was to, and interrupt me at any time, but I'll describe the process really quickly. So really just getting a sense of what Marshalltown Community School District is as a culture, what is the feel of it, what's the identity and the personality of it, and then doing that through a variety of meetings, site visits, and then writing the script, and then handing the script off to folks and getting their feedback, and then audio recording the script so that we have that to then eventually match some visuals with. And in the process of writing the script, I kept thinking, do we want to end with Embrace the Lead? Do we want to end with Take the Lead? What is accurate? What is aspirational? And I just got a temperature check from my own daughter, who's 16 years old, and I had her listen to the audio, and I just said, what do you think? And she liked it and was excited about it. And then I said, what do you think about the ending? And she said, well, I like it. And I'm reading what she said because I put it in my phone right away. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what we want. She said, a lot of times people are great leaders. They're just afraid to step up into that role. And when I thought about Marshalltown students and the opportunities that Marshalltown has for the students, the pathways that they have, certainly they're encouraged and inspired to take the lead. And then also, we hope they embrace the lead. So I'll just pause there. There's more I could say, but I think that's a good place to pause.
And then Amber, if you want to share a little bit as well.
Yeah, so Amber Danielson, I'm the director of the Arts and Culture Alliance, and this project really came to life after the adoption of the Arts and Culture Master Plan that the city formally adopted in February. I should remember, but I swear it was probably March or April when I came and shared it with all of you. And so after seeing this opportunity that Akwi has done in other areas, I thought this is just the perfect opportunity for one. In that master plan, one of the 5 placemaking themes is Elevate Youth. And I think I think most of you have probably already seen the video, but we'll watch it again tonight, that we so accomplish that in such a unique and creative way. And that truly is what the master plan is all about, is how do we set Marshalltown apart, make it unique and distinct and feel authentic to the people that call it home. And I think she truly captured the authenticity of our students. And Abby, Theron, and I have talked a lot about this. I mean, I truly believe on a personal level, but also professionally, that community pride and Bobcat pride are deeply interconnected. And I think Akwi saw that quickly after spending some time in our community. And so I think it's been so fun these last couple days to showcase or see the video showcased and watch people's reaction. And I also have to say, as a graduate of MHS, being a part of the committee and just watching and hearing from students in particular, I am so proud to be a Bobcat. It was such a fun experience, like truly emotional, quite honestly. It's been so rewarding, and this project has just been nothing but fun. So
Yeah. Amber and myself were definitely emotional at the football game, watching the crowd's reaction, and especially the cheerleaders that night. They were overly pumped, you know. They saw their friends within the video. They saw their teachers within it. And then throughout today at Alex Boye, you know, we had that video playing at every single session today. And just seeing the smiles on our students' faces, that definitely means the world to myself. And I know fellow admins here at Marshalltown Schools, that is why we're here and why we want to amplify the student voices here. So.
All right, I was part of the committee.
yes.
And I know I said it during the committee, but the fact that students participated and had a voice in this, and, you know, thank you guys for getting that feedback and actually taking it and moving it forward and making those changes in the video and in the audio. I mean, when I heard it, it was a little bit different than when I first heard it. And I'm like, oh, they added that, you know, they added Natalie saying someone's Bobcats. I'm like, that is great. You know, that's what a committee should be. So she didn't just take it on, made the audio, made the video, you know, she got the feedback and used it. And that's amazing. And about the audience, I was part of the audience at the football game, and I just heard cheer. I had tears, so I know a lot of people did, because there were so many people that were out there proud of it.
Yeah, the placemaking theme, Elevate Youth, talks a lot about giving youth a seat at the table and really elevating their voices to, I mean, I feel like it just keeps confirming itself to take the lead and embrace the lead. And so that was, I think, the most rewarding part of the project, to really see them authentically reflected and hear their true experience about what it means to be a Bobcat in such a positive, uplifting way, which I think Akwi did just a fantastic job taking that and making it a reality. In a way that I think will stand out, I know stands out from any other district. I mean, this is a product that is unlike anything else, and I think that, again, is just setting Marshalltown apart.
Amy, if you're good to go. Do you not?
I don't have the link.
I have it on YouTube if you want to go to YouTube.
Go on the
You have it on
website.
YouTube.
It's on the
Yeah,
website.
I put it on our YouTube today.
I mean, it's on our Facebook. It was on today.
Yeah, yep, that too.
On our Facebook.
Yep. In the meantime, any other questions or thoughts or?
I'd just like to say thank you for working the master plan. And including education and kids, and it makes a difference to have some kind of branding. This is a great branding tool for Marshalltown, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think, you know, in a lot of the ways that we've partnered with the district so far, it's been through visual arts and, you know, public art installations. And so I think this is a really beautiful example of what we mean when we say, oh, there it is. Creative community development goes far beyond just what we can see, but also even just through the process and the empowerment that the kids, I hope, feel and staff feel through being engaged in this process. So, okay, I'll be done talking.
Going to Marshalltown. Going back to Marshalltown. No Marshalltown, no Bobcats.
We are Marshalltown. We are Bobcats. and no one else is like us. We innovate, collaborate, initiate, take charge. We set the pace, guide the path, from past through present to future. We blaze the trails, we step up, set the tone, support, and grow. We lead the way, the sky's the limit. Ready, set, create, showtime, go time. Spotlights, bright lights, from pro ball to the Hollywood stars. No limit to dreams, no limited beliefs. We take the reins, we take the lead. We grow into teachers, doctors, shop owners, and shopkeepers, keepers of our brothers, our sisters. We're the biggest small town around, and we like it that way.
Somos Bobcats!
From first day to graduation day, let's go.
Let's go.
Virtual reality turned reality. We make waves in every industry. We lead the way. From the classroom, pen and paper, to the fields and courts and stage, performance night to game day, we work hard, play hard, rise and shine. We wake up ready to climb. From step one to get it done. We are Bobcat ready, and we make a way.
We take the lead.
Embrace the lead.
I'll just end by saying we had Theron, Abby, myself, and Aqui were in the roundhouse till about 11 o'clock the night before the homecoming game. And, you know, every time we watched it, which we watched it quite a few times, speaking for myself, we would be like, oh, I didn't see that, or oh my gosh, that video aligns perfectly with that word, and I didn't catch that the first time. And so I think that's one aspect of why this video is so special, is you can watch it more than once and see different aspects. And so I think there's so much messaging in the video that the district will be able to use and really be a catalyst for other messaging, depending on who your audience is or what you're seeking to accomplish. So I think it's just such a flexible and diverse video, and Aqui, you just absolutely knocked it out of the park.
I totally agree with those words. I know the video is definitely a great chapter on, you know, really teaching or telling our kids, you know, you are worthy of embracing the lead. You are worthy of this. I know that was mentioned several times when we were editing the video late at night. You know, it's that sense of pride that we just want to send a jolt back into not only our school community, but the community in general, of like, take that pride back. This is your story. Tell it. Be proud of it. And I know for myself, in watching the video, so many different ideas come out of it, of like, we can play it here, we can play it there, we can take this video and this mantra and we can expand the branding even further. So it's not just one video, it's so much bigger than just this.
Who is the narrator?
Aqui.
Nicely done, Aqui.
Yeah, I think, it was amazing just to see the process and the fact that edits were being made at 10:45, 11 o'clock the night before it premiered, you know, and I know my wife was out of town, and when she finally saw it, she was like, wait a minute, that was just the other night, you know, homecoming and stuff. So that was really cool. And I think, and Bonnie, I think, can certainly speak to this too. You know, there's so many people who have lived here for so long or grew up here, you know, 50s, 60s, and, you know, things have changed a lot. But as I said at the community meeting yesterday, yeah, they've changed a lot, but in most ways they've changed for the better. And I think this really helps validate that. And when I interviewed with the district 8 years ago now, you know, one of the things that struck me from our kids was they were part of the interview process. And after I walked out of the interview, speaking of Bobcat Pride and Class 81 Pride and all that, a couple of the girls cornered me and said, Mr. Schutte, we don't have that. We don't feel that way, which just really hurt, because everyone I grew up with today is just as proud as they were when they were going to school here and living here. And I think we heard a lot from our kids about that pride, you know, when we sat in that meeting. So I think we've come a long ways, and it's probably always been there, but we just didn't tell the story, or we didn't have our kids help tell the story. And so, you and Cal did amazing work in helping to tell that story. And it was really validated today when that was shown to all of our middle school and high school students in 4 separate assembly programs, and you could just see it in their faces and hear it in their voices and their cheers when their friends that they recognized are in there and that sort of thing. So it really was a great kickoff to a wonderful day with Alex Boye as well. So.
Well, thank you all so much for all your hard work on this. Everybody's already said it, so I don't need to say it again, but it really is an amazing video. It was great to be in the crowd, watching it on the big screen. Yeah, it was really good job.
Thank you. And thank you for the continued partnership. We appreciate it.
I'll just say a quick thank you as well. I don't know if my audio is still, can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So just wanted to say real quickly, thank you to everybody who entrusted me to support Marshalltown in this way. It's one of those things where it was emotional even for me, and I wasn't expecting that the night of the coronation when we were finished filming. Just being an observer of the Marshalltown community and the culture there, and the ways, just being an observer of students interacting with each other the night of the coronation, at the parade, and so on throughout the site visits. I just, by the end of the night at the coronation, I was crying my eyes out, and just because it was just so cool to witness and be a part of and observe. So I just recognize the fact that Abby and the team there, the administrative team, already is doing an incredible job with excuse me, with telling Marshalltown's story. And I hope that this is just continuing the momentum of that story, continuing to amplify it, elevate it, and give it a boost, like Abby said. So thank you all again for entrusting me with this project.
I have to say one more thing. We brought this project to Abby within weeks of her starting, and you guys have, so confirmed through this project. You've hired an outstanding communications and marketing director, and she's been phenomenal to work with. And what she's accomplished in her first, I'm not going to do the math quickly enough, but it's unbelievable. So kudos, Abby. Kudos. Now I'm done.
Next is the trio talent field trip stuff, which I assume is you gals.
So in addition to the approval for field trips, I just asked them to just give an overview of the TRIO program, because we really haven't had that for a long time.
Yeah, well, thank you for having us. My name is Darcy Sprouse. I'm the director of both the TRIO Talent Search and TRIO Upward Bound program at Iowa State University. And I'll let my colleague introduce herself.
And I'm Bree Laughlin. I'm the advisor for the Marshalltown Community School District as well as South Tampa.
And I brought a handout. I didn't know if it would be appropriate to hand that out. Otherwise, I can leave it. Bree, maybe do you want to start it? Just start it around this. Otherwise, I could leave copies for you. Well, again, thank you for giving us some time. That's a hard act to follow. That was I don't have that. We do have great programming, though. I will say that. So just a quick overview. TRIO is a federally funded program through the U.S. Department of Education, and it's been around, since the early 60s. It's part of the Higher Education Act. And so Bree and I have not been at Iowa State for 30 years, but the TRIO programs have been there for at least 30 years. There are about 8 different programs under the TRIO umbrella. A lot of people don't know that, but we work with students all the way from, we start recruiting them in 6th grade, and some of the TRIO programs actually serve them all the way through high school, college, and there's a newer program that actually has started working with some adult students. So what we do, Bree and I work with, we have the Talent Search and Upward Bound programs are the two that we are from, or that we're talking about from Iowa State. There's actually 4 programs, and I'm kind of throwing a lot at you here all at once, but there's actually 4 TRIO programs at Iowa State. And Bree and I are on what we call the pre-college side. So we work with middle school and high school students. Bree works with our Talent Search program, and so that's the program, that one, it works with our youngest group. So we work with 6th grade all the way up through seniors in high school. And so Bree goes in to Lenahan every spring, and she talks to the 6th graders there about joining Talent Search, and then they come back in the fall. They've applied to the program, we've accepted them throughout the summer, and then Bree jumps right in during the fall once they hit 7th grade, and she meets with them every month, sometimes more than that, to talk about things like college readiness. We were just talking on the way in here, she had a student who reached out to her about taking the ACT or the SAT. So Bree has a lot of conversations with our Talent Search students. It's sort of a small group setting, instruction style. And so she'll go in each month and meet with, she'll spend one session working with the 7th graders, and then she'll come back and work with the 8th graders, and then all the way through. And so she sees a lot of Marshalltown students each month. And in addition to talking about things like applying to college and careers, we're also helping them understand financial aid, especially this year. We know the FAFSA is going to be really confusing for our students and families. So Bree's there to help students navigate that. Talent Search really kind of, as you can see on the handout that we gave you, the bulk of what we do is really just helping students figure out how to get through high school and what they want to do after high school. Some people think that because we're housed at Iowa State that our students have to go to Iowa State. That's certainly not the case. We actually can't recruit for Iowa State, kind of a fun fact. So honestly, I think what I enjoy the most is we get to help students figure out what their best fit is for them. Sometimes it is military, sometimes it's community college, sometimes it's 4-year, in-state or out of state. And so we get the fun job of helping students figure out what that path is. And so we'll talk about this in a little bit, but one of the things we're going to ask for is approval to take students on a couple of overnight trips later on this term. So like I said, Bree is on the Talent Search side. Our colleague Paula Plath is the advisor for our Upward Bound program. Upward Bound is our 2nd pre-college TRIO program at Iowa State. Very, very similar. The biggest difference is the size. So Bree mentioned that she serves Marshalltown and South Tama. We're in 5 school districts in the state. For Talent Search, we serve 1,000 students across those 5 districts. For Upward Bound, we only serve 3 schools, and there's about 50 students. So big difference in the size of those programs. But both of them, Upward Bound and Talent Search, we're helping students figure out their path through high school and into college. Upward Bound is a little bit more one-on-one, maybe, very small group, where Bree is going to see them in larger groups, probably kind of back-to-back throughout the school day. Both of the programs take students on college visits. So the reason that we're here today is because we do have several one-day trips coming up. We have a college visit to Iowa State coming up on October 10th. But we have a couple of overnight trips. And so what we're asking for, I have to check my dates here to make sure I give you the right ones. October 19th and 20th, what we are currently planning is a trip to Omaha. And this is a combined trip with all of our school districts. So total, it'll be about 40 students. We're looking to take about 6 to 8 of our 9th grade Talent Search students and a couple of our Upward Bound students as well. We'll take them to, on our way over to Omaha, we'll stop at Iowa Western Community College where they'll do lunch, they'll get to see the residence halls, learn about the admissions process and the programs over there. We'll take them to the zoo because they always like to do something a little fun and cultural as well. And then we'll stay overnight in Omaha, get up the next day, and we'll take them to Creighton University to do, we're actually participating in one of their Blue Jay visit days. So they'll get a chance to see Creighton. And that trip is actually a really good example of what we do. I mean, they're vastly different colleges, 2-year and 4-year, different admissions criteria. And we may not have a lot of students that end up going to a place like Creighton, but what it does is it shows them what it could be like. You know, sometimes what I always tell students is sometimes you have to go to a college campus to learn that's not where you want to go. So sometimes we see that as well, but it's always fun to see what the students, how they react to different colleges. And so we know this is a trip that they will definitely be interested in attending. So the plan would be to leave Thursday morning. We'd pick the students up. We provide transportation. We cover the cost of the meals, lodging, all of that stuff. And so we'd pick them up Thursday morning about 8 o'clock, and then they'll be gone with us all day Thursday, all day Friday. So they'll be back around 5 o'clock on Friday night. So that's the first overnight trip that we have on our schedule at the moment. And then our second one is a little bit more of a local trip. We have a 2-day visit, one day to the University of Northern Iowa, and then the second day is to the University of Iowa. And so that one ends up being a 2-day trip, again, with all 5 of our school districts. So we would pick them up, I think we're currently planning to pick them up around 10:30 on that Wednesday, go to the University of Northern Iowa for a tour and visit there. We're hoping to do a career visit over at Rockwell Collins in Cedar Rapids, and then Friday have a visit scheduled for the University of Iowa. So again, they'd be back probably in that after-school time frame around 4 or 5 o'clock that evening. Did I miss anything, Bree, or is there anything else we'd like to add?
No, just beyond the fact, like, I have to push it? Oh. See, and this is why my students roast me, because like I'm like, I know technology, and then I do this. Okay. So just to kind of echo what Darcy said, TRIO programs are very tremendous to students because they provide opportunities. I myself was an upward bound participant actually at MHS, and it really opened my eyes to the possibilities of college or just like the next steps. And even though I have a really supportive mother, she didn't attend a 4-year college. So I think just having someone who provided guidance and direction. So while these trips are fun and they do have the chance to be out of school, they are educational. And then in my next meeting with them, I kind of follow up and ask some of those questions on what did they think of a 2-year institution versus a 4-year institution, and what are the things they could start doing now in order to prepare for applying to college or joining the military, because as 9th graders is kind of a pinnacle point, making sure you're staying on top of your grades, kind of finding your place within the school, whether that's through extracurriculars, volunteering, and just ultimately kind of finding who you are as a person and making the right steps forward.
So Bree touched on one of the critical components of our program, all TRIO programs actually, is that we serve first-generation students, so students whose parents don't have a 4-year degree. So Bree and I both are first-generation students. And then we also serve income-eligible students, so a lot of students that qualify for free and reduced lunch. So high percentages of those in the Marshalltown Community School District, of course. That's why we're here, and we're thankful to be here. Marshalltown is the largest district that we serve. We have 2 of our, Marshalltown and Perry both have high percentages of Hispanic and Latinx students. And so we do as much as we can to not only support the students, but the parents and families as well. So we do mail communication. So actually this summer we did a series where we were sending out information about financial aid, and so our families could log in and take kind of an online class, and they could do that one in English or Spanish and learn about the financial aid process. And so we are supporting the students, but of course with that, you know, the parents are trusting us, families are trusting us to take care of their students. So we're doing what we can to support them through that college process as well.
Questions from anybody?
So approximately how many students at the different grade levels are you touching base with then?
So each grade level might have a different amount of students. I think my highest amount is about 65, 70, and out of those 65, 70, I see at least 55 to 60 of them most of the month.
Is that at the younger grades or?
For all grades, pretty much. So
Oh.
like I think my lowest group is probably 32. But with talent
Grade
search,
is-
with
What grade is the 32, do you remember? Is it 10th?
eighth grade.
Eighth grade?
So with that, sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought there. With this meetings, like I said, and what Darcy said, it's once a month, and they just kind of, it's like free will. Talent search, students could join at any time, ideally probably before their senior years because services are a little bit more comprehensive. So by the time I get them as a senior, it's a little hard to fill some of those gaps, but we are still willing to consider them. Versus Upward Bound only starts accepting students in ninth grade and can really only accept them as ninth graders.
So what Bree really provides, and hopefully you can kind of been able to kind of figure this out about her, is she's great about connecting with the students. And I try really hard to make sure that we have the same advisor serving the students when they join our program in middle school and then stick with them through high school as well. We try really hard not to split the advisors between the schools because it's so critical for students to have that relationship with their talent search or their Upward Bound advisors. So Bree really does start working with them in 7th grade and follows them all the way through. And, you know, she kind of indicated each class size is a little bit different. Marshalltown is our one district where we never struggle to get applications for our program. We kind of have the opposite problem where we sometimes have to turn students away because I think at one point we had a class size that was almost over 100 students. And, you know, Bree really has one day where she can try to see one grade at a time. And so, yes, we definitely have really good participation from our Marshalltown students.
Do we have a crossover, like by the time the kids get into high school, are there kids in your program that are also like participating in Science Bound with Iowa State or MAP with Karina?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. And we try, we do as much as we can to collaborate with them. We do have, TRIO has some federal regulations about students can't be served in multiple federally funded programs at the same time. Gear Up is a little bit different. So we can't have students in both talent search and Upward Bound at the same time, but we have students all the time that are in Science Bound as well. So we try really hard to coordinate with those programs to make sure that we're not, you know, duplicating services for those students. But yes, we definitely have students in multiple programs.
So, just help me clarify here. In the 9th grade, you start accepting students into Upward Bound. Okay, so what does Upward Bound offer that Talent Search doesn't? What distinguishes the two programs, since they can't be in both? What is it that Upward Bound offers instead of Talent Search?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd say the biggest thing is the summer program. Talent Search is what I would kind of call, I guess I'd call it a light touch program. You know, even though Bree is in the schools, you know, all the time, the students, you know, the 9th grade students are seeing her maybe once a month. In Upward Bound, those students are seeing their Upward Bound advisor, Paula, you know, a couple times a month, plus they're coming to campus one Saturday a month for tutoring and workshops. But Upward Bound is really kind of known for the summer component. And Bree actually, when Bree was an Upward Bound student, she participated in that and then later came back and was a residence advisor for the summer program. So that time is when students actually come to Iowa State. They live on campus the entire month of June and take classes and do some different team building activities and kind of get a taste of what the college environment is like. The school year portion doesn't look a whole lot different. They're talking about a lot of the same information. So the size of the programs and then that summer component are probably the two biggest differences.
Is that juniors and seniors that do the summer, or?
It's actually 10th grade all the way through. I'd say the bulk of them are 10th and 11th grade. We start to lose them as they get they want to work, they have other things they want to do during the summer. So 10th and 11th grade is probably our highest number of those summer students.
Any other questions?
So the field trips that we're talking about would be your upward bound kids?
They're actually both.
They're both,
Yep,
okay.
we do joint as much as we can. Helps us with chaperones.
Got it.
There's some that are just exclusive to Talent Search or just exclusive to Upward Bound, but these ones are actually joint trips.
Just had a logistical question. You one where you're starting at UNI and you're ending up at UFI. Where are they staying?
Good question. In Iowa City.
Okay.
Yeah, yep.
I was just curious.
Yep, yeah. That's the part they love. They love the hotel, swimming, all that stuff.
I'm sure they do.
Okay, is there a motion to approve? We'll do these in two separate motions. Is that okay, Randy? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the field trip request to take up to 15 Marshalltown students to Omaha, Nebraska, October 19th through 20th as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Lowry Faltis, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Then we need a motion to approve the field trip request to take up to 15 Marshalltown students on an overnight visit to University of Northern Iowa on November 1st and University of Iowa on November 2nd as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Stanley Hernandez, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Have a good trip.
Have
Thank you very
fun.
much.
so much.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, a cheering squad there.
They were cheering me on to be quick.
Oh, yeah. Go, Amy.
I am here presenting something new. It's called Visitor Management Software. You may have seen it. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure this isn't pointed at a speaker. You may have seen it in other districts. You may have had some experience with it in some federal buildings and that sort of thing. This particular software, when anyone enters the building, aside from staff or people that have already been vetted by HR, they'll need to go through a process to actually go wonder about the building or go to a specific room. So this is something that Eric Whedon and I have been vetting for quite some time. Dr. Schutte has been on a demo, and so has Andrew Klossman, our security specialist, our network and admin security specialist. So basically, people would enter a building and there would be an iPad where they would enter some information. It could be as easy as swiping an ID card. If you don't have an ID card, typing in your information. There is a way via facial recognition actually to basically verify that at least they're not a bad actor coming into the building. And then the secretary would say, yep, approved to come in. It would print a little badge, just a little sticker, and then buzz, come on in. And that would be something that we would suggest would happen at every building. This was something from the security assessment that was found lacking in our buildings. We do have a visitor process right now, so it's not as though it's not there at all. But this would streamline things more. It would make sure that there's communication with certain parts of the building. Hey, you're going to have a visitor, you're going to have a vendor, you're going to have a volunteer. And this is one that we thought was kind of the quickest, slickest system out there. We did vet a number of them, and this one kept coming to the top. Do you have any questions so far?
This is a Iowa ID you're talking about.
It can
Swiping.
be, it can be any ID actually, because what it does is it reads the barcode on the back, which will pull up the name. It's pretty much just
It's a government
first
ID.
a government ID.
Okay,
So
government.
as long as
Driver's
that barcode on the back will actually pull up a name and an address, that's really all it needs. And there are a number of fields that are required to be filled in. So if it doesn't fill in everything, or if it doesn't fill in anything, that person can type into there. And there is different languages as well. So it's not just, the people right away could pick the language that they're most comfortable reading in, and then go from there.
So what happens when it's a student, like I'm thinking elementary or?
They don't have to go through this process at
Oh,
all.
they don't? Okay.
Nope, this is just visitors and volunteers and vendors.
Okay.
I do have a question. I am supportive of this. I've seen it in use at Emerson when I went there. Is this going to be a lot of an ask for the receptionists that we currently sign in, they say hi, and they move on? Like junior achievement times, when a bunch of volunteers are coming every 50 minutes, how much work is that going to be for them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that it's not any work or any new learning. It will be some new learning. To try to mitigate that, we think we'll try to implement it at a couple buildings first. And we were hoping for January to try to just work through some of the pain points with those receptionists and get their feedback to try to help them as much as we can. When it comes to something like there's 50 volunteers, we can do all of that before they even come. So they can be completely vetted and either have a QR code, or we can print out all their badges and just say, grab the badge that matches your name, and you're good to go in. So all of it can be done beforehand. But this system, we felt, was the easiest and smoothest and quickest, so as not to cause pain to our receptionists.
Amy, I got a couple questions. I kind of cringe a little bit. I think of TSA, like getting checked and going through that, but obviously this is the world we live in. And so a couple questions I think you alluded to was, I'm thinking a couple questions. First, my wife, she forgets her ID all over the place. Once she gets in, next time, is it in the system? She doesn't have to bring it?
Yep.
And then the next question, I'm sure we have families in the district that, is there gonna be a problem trying to find some type of ID or something what's that process like?
Yeah, so they don't have to have an ID. It's not required, but it is the smoothest process, the quickest for the visitor to have it, because they can just scan it, boop, have the information, pops up on the other side, you're approved, push the button. It could take less than 20 seconds to get them in. If they don't have an ID, they just have to type their information in.
And the last question is like back to school nights. You have hundreds of parents or family members or whoever there. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, so there's some processes that we'd want to work through as a district, because some districts have honestly just relaxed it and said, on a night like that, we understand we're not going to have a huge bottleneck of even scanning every single person in. So on a night like that, we're just going to, be vigilant like we already are and welcome those visitors in, knowing that most of those are parents with their children. So we aren't having to do a lot of oversight over those kids. And the same with like concerts and those sorts of things. Now, we can, if as a district we decide, no, we want to check every person every single time, we could set up 50 Chromebooks and have them all check in before they come in. So we could do a mass check-in that hopefully wouldn't end up with really long lines. But a lot of districts have decided we're only talking on Monday through Friday from our operating hours that we're going to make sure our buildings are run this way. The activities outside are not going to be like that. So that's been a decision they've made.
And to piggyback off of Sarah's question about, the secretaries or taking time, do you think that'll be a process when maybe next school year, the parents or the caregivers can come in, fill out before school, give their ID so it's a seamless process when they show up?
Yeah, and pretty much that'll happen anyway. It'll just be one time that might take some time, and the next time it'll be quicker and quicker. There is an option, yes, to basically check in before you get there. They'd have to be pretty tech savvy to have a QR code pull up on their phone. So some of those things weren't things that we were going to work through right away. But I think it is less TSA and more, we just want you to have a visitor badge that's printed off and says your name and somebody knows that you're in the building. Especially, it's not just for the worst case, it's also if there's a tornado drill, if there's a fire, if, even like custody issues. So it's not just worst case scenario. There could be a lot of reasons why we just want to know who's in our buildings.
And what's the protocol if something gets flagged? What's the protocol?
Yeah, so this system, again, is something that we like because what it can do, we actually already own part of this system. It's called InformaCast. If any one of our schools at any phone calls 911, the administrator of that school gets a text or an email and or both that says, someone's called 911 in your building. And that's really helpful for everybody to just be aware of that communication. So what this does is rather than have that receptionist have to go out and tell, some big guy, sorry, you can't be here, it immediately sends a text with that InformaCast system to an administrator or a group of a safety committee in that building. Hey, the receptionist needs your assistance right away. And then they would come up to the front. And we have already had issues like that where somebody is a known sex offender or somebody has a known some sort of custody issue. Thank you. Thank you for reading my mind. So we've already had to deal with those, and we usually leave them up to the administrator or someone trusted in the building to deal with that. So it would be a very immediate text to hopefully multiple people, so someone could be there quickly to help.
Yeah, these are all really, really good questions because in a prior district I've been involved in implementing, and all these things are things that come up. I think the systems have come a long ways in terms of user friendliness compared to when I was last engaged with it, and it is very similar to what Emerson has. But it was probably the number one recommendation from the Tetra Tech safety security audit. They validated that, yes, you have a means for which you're having people check in, but it's probably not the best because you still have to rely on you knowing who the people are or what their story is, and or making assumptions that everything's okay unless something informs you otherwise. And this will just I think it'll ultimately give everybody in the front office a sense of greater security in terms of who we're letting in or not letting in, honestly.
So I'm assuming there's you're using some sort of back-end database with the facial recognition, and how do you know, I don't know, we don't have the facial recognition on. Do you have all of those things are going to be in process to say, flag, wait a minute, this person is somewhere behind the scene? Okay.
Yeah, so there's a number of databases that get checked. We want to be really clear that the really only things we're worried about are, sexual offenders, any sort of custody issue, a dangerous offender of some sort. So it's mostly criminal background type of quick scans that they're doing. It's not checking other databases to see who you are, like that sort of thing. It's as least intrusive as facial recognition can be. But yeah, there's a mix of, it could be, from the ID card, or it could be from the facial scan that it picks up that this person shouldn't be here.
Other questions or comments?
I think you mentioned it, but it'll be funded through our safety grant dollars that each building receives.
Is this the amount for all of the buildings?
Yeah, and for 3 years, so it's
Okay.
basically 1/3 of that. We're gonna pay it all up front, but it'll pay for 3 years.
Okay.
Is there a motion to approve the purchase of visitor-aware single wire in the amount of $22,506.25 as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Wall Hernandez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Okay. I don't know if I should be honest.
Yes,
Okay.
always.
At
Do you want me to-
exactly
do you want me to
4:15
start?
p.m., I learned that I'm presenting tonight, which was really exciting. I'm thrilled that we have this on the agenda because it's necessary. We've been really busy with our PD day yesterday and then Alex Boyer today, and I've been really preoccupied. So in the background, Randy was able to pull some strings, which was wonderful, and we have this on the agenda. So do you want to start with just kind of explaining the funding and why we're in a rush here?
Yes, why we're in a rush to
Yeah.
do this, yes. So, because this was added, I think, over the weekend. So last week, the Department of Ed reached out to districts and informed us of, or informed all districts of additional title funds that were available to all districts. So they did a reallocation calculation for all the different federal title funding streams. So for our district, the good news is that we came up at about between Title I, Title II, Migrant, and Title IV. We were receiving an additional roughly $258,000. Great news. The kicker with that is that the DE told us that we had till September 30th to spend those funds. So I was in the middle of closing out fiscal year end last week, so this was not, the email came out on Tuesday, excuse me. Fiscal year reports were due by Friday, so that was my focus. And then once I got those done, shifted to this, Sean and I got together.
I wish there were cameras in the stairway. I'm not sure I've ever ran up the stairs quite so fast.
There may have been a few four-letter words that came out of my mouth when I figured out the guidance that came through. Needless to say, so how the funding works, it's going to be coded to what they call our carryover. So a good portion of the funding will be reallocated to salaries and benefits for a lot of our current title and migrant staffing. And then the nice thing about that's basically we're shifting buckets. We're shifting it from the regular allocation we already had planned for the year. We're going to shift it to carryover, which then leaves some additional room for us to decide later on how we want to spend our current year allocations. But to get this money spent by the end of the month, reallocating a portion to salaries and benefits, but that still left us with some gaps to fill. So that's why we have this in front of you tonight. This was and I'll let Shauna speak to the details of that, but it's been a whirlwind
So
week.
a whirlwind for the funding, and I will tell you that the planning behind the CKLA coaching has been in the works with the Department of Ed ever since we had our 2 elementary schools identified as comprehensive. As a part of their recommendations, they said, hey, you have a premier literacy curriculum. We want you to continue with that, and we want to just make sure that you provide additional professional learning to your teachers. And we've done that already with all of our elementary buildings. They've had 2 days of learning around CKLA, and we're at a position where we can hire CKLA to come in 23 different days, spread across all 6 elementaries where they'll be side-by-side coaching with teachers. So we look at this as a really great opportunity to increase the implementation, quality implementation of the materials. We believe that we're in a great place, and yet we know that we can continuously get better. And when Randy shared that we have this gift of money to spend in a relatively short amount of time, it was perfect timing for me because Erica Fenders and I had just met and said, whoa, that's a pretty decent sized cost, but we also know that it's an awesome way forward to continue to work towards our knowledge and literacy for our elementary schools. So it sometimes the stars align, and I feel like this is one of those times, and it feels really quick because we were just having these conversations, and usually we have a little bit more time in between, but we really want to make sure that we're able to push forward. And Erica, she's super organized, so she's already has all of the coaching opportunities plotted out, and shout out to Dr. Schutte for approving that as well behind the scenes. So we're here seeking your approval to be able to move forward and to use these dollars through title to really push the early literacy with all of our classroom teachers.
Well, I want to tell you that I appreciate the fact that you're doing this. I don't know how many of you Sold a Story on NPR.
Yes.
But this fits right into it. So many of our teachers were not well trained to teach reading. CKLA is very much in line with the research and very much not in line with a lot of the training our teachers got in college. So this is exactly what they need. This is the coaching that they need. And so I'm glad you're doing it.
That's an incredible podcast if anyone has time to listen. Yeah. So I think we need an action.
We do.
But I also am willing to answer any questions that you guys have.
Are there any questions or comments?
No.
Okay. Then we need a motion to approve the purchase of Amplify CKLA on-site coaching for $73,600 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
McGinnis, Faltus, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shauna.
Yep.
Okay. Up next is just our annual action to set our depositories for the fiscal year. This is per Iowa Code 12B, I believe is the reference number, but staying consistent with our prior years, utilizing First Interstate Bank, Iowa Schools Joint Investment Trust Fund, IceJet, and then UMB Bank, which is where our bond sinking funds are held. So for the First Interstate and IceJet, $35 million depository limit, and then for UMB Bank, it's at $10 million. So any questions, I'll field those now.
The only question I have is on the deposits, with interest rates much higher on deposits. Have you done anything with these banks moving money around at all?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, yep. IceJet currently is at 5%. Okay. Is our interest rate. So yeah, we definitely move any additional funds that we get in First Interstate over to IceJet to capitalize on those interest rates. Yep. And then move it back when we need to pay bills. Yep.
Other questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the depository resolution for the 23-24 school year as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Wall, Stanley, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0.
Next is the lane changes. Nora, I don't know if you want to speak to this at all, or if you just want me to cover it, but I didn't know if you had anything special to add. I'm just going to throw the numbers at them. For this year, our lane changes, we have 49 staff that are changing lanes this year that have completed all the necessary education and paperwork submitted to Nora and her team. Total cost to the district this year with these lane changes is an additional $193,000, $193,467. We usually budget about $200,000 to $225,000 a year for this, so this is right in line with where we typically budget these amounts. Any questions other than what's in front of you?
Impressive.
The one person who went from a BA to an MA.
I questioned that when Jackie sent it to me to make sure that was right.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is.
Oh, there you go, 60% of us.
So I read that. Wow. Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is good.
Good.
Is there a motion to approve the lane changes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
McGinnis, Lowry, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. How's it going?
No, maybe. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm
The
good.
red light means, normally
The light
red
down
means,
there wasn't
normally
coming
red
on.
means bad, but on that one, it means, don't worry about it, just start talking.
Yep. No, doing great. Obviously, the last couple of months, we've been meeting with several of the high school CTE teachers, science teachers, and everything to look at doing remodels, expansions, and improvements for all of those areas of the high school. Kind of get them up to 21st century. What I'm here for tonight is to ask for the approval for FEH, who we've worked with on numerous projects here, to have the approval to work on the construction documents and get them ready for a bidding process for the project. Currently, projected cost for the project's going to be $11,847,739. But that will encompass, like I said, several additions, new shop, metal shop, actual lab rooms for the science classrooms, and then extensive remodels in current classrooms and other other rooms for the building itself. So
Well, it's very much needed.
yes, yes.
We had a board facilities subcommittee meeting yesterday where Kevin was able to go over these things, and Kim Bellman from FEH, and we're continuing on a track for both the FEMA Tornado Team Room project and this project to be positioned to go out to bid this fall, hopefully have acceptable bids to position us to do this work in the spring and summer of next year. So they're at a point where they need our approval to move forward on getting the construction documents put together in order to be able to be put out to bid in October, November-ish, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Questions or comments from anybody?
All I can think of is me and Bonnie had an opportunity to go visit, and I was, it's much needed project, and I think we talked about what Lead the Way video here. This is be a great opportunity for the students, and not only that, the businesses in this community have a great opportunity. I'm more impressed that we work with staff members and business owners to figure out what the needs are in the community.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna add too. I think that's been great, is obviously all the businesses we have here in town, we have asked for a lot of their input of what they would kind of like to see what the school could produce for possible future workers, and, just a lot of stuff that needed improved, I mean. to
There
get
was
us-
a lot of teacher input too, correct?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is what we really need.
Yeah, the teachers came in, particularly in the summer, on their own accord. They weren't under contract, but we had family, consumer science, industrial arts, science, and agriculture all represented at different times. And even now that it's hard to match up always with their teaching schedule, but we're at a point where FEH is sending them the documents and the specs just to cross-check and make sure we're down to countertops.
They were to the point of marking where they wanted locks on drawers and whatnot. So, yeah, they are getting much input in the areas that, they're gonna house, so.
Great.
Yeah,
Excellent.
for sure.
There have been very little improvements to the areas that we're talking about right now. So what was there in 65 is now there in 23, 24. And so as we look at these improvements, Just the fact that we're putting in a commercial kitchen also, which provides other opportunities. So if we're going to lead the way, this is definitely a way to lead the way, because you're opening up different arenas of study for our kids as well. And the same way in the IT area. What they're doing down there right now, they are so bunched together, and the equipment isn't even really safe because of the dust. And, you know, if we're looking at trying to put in high-level technology, that area just is not set up for that right now. And so these particular improvements will be phenomenal. Even retired teachers who have heard the plan, especially one particular science teacher, "Oh my gosh, Bonnie, did you see what they're doing?" I said, "Yeah, I have." He goes, "Oh my gosh, that's great." You know, it's just, it needed to be done. And so this is definitely a huge investment, cost-wise, money-wise, but what's going to come from it will be phenomenal.
Well, and this gives us the opportunity also to give a dedicated and appropriate space for agriculture, which has grown like crazy since Tara started that a couple of years ago. So.
Yep.
Any other questions?
We need a motion to approve the design development phase and authorization to proceed with the construction documents as presented.
Move to approve.
Second.
Lowry, Wall, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you so much. I'll be visiting you more regularly.
Policies.
We have one policy coming back that was a new policy at the last meeting, 305 Administrator Code of Ethics. I would recommend, and we haven't made any adjustments or changes to this new policy. I would recommend board approval and waive the second reading.
Are there any questions? Is there a motion to adopt 305 and waive the second reading?
Move to approve.
Second.
Lowry, Faltis, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Jan,
Okay, Board Policy 602.10, federal programs, is basically how the administration watches over those. There's no matching IASB policy and no changes, so I would recommend that we mark as reviewed. 603.1, let me see if that's the one I'm thinking of. Basic instructional program, let me see if that's the one I have flagged here. Summer school, that one I think was fine. So no changes, update the legal and cross-references, mark as review. 603, gotta make sure I get the right ones here. Let me check on that one. Oh, wait a minute, no, that is the one I had questions on. There are just some small edits there. It says the basic instructional program for students enrolled in grades 7 and 8 will include English language arts, social studies, mathematics, science, health, human growth and development. Then it says family and consumer. I think that's supposed to be family and consumer science. And then right after that, it says career technology education. I don't know if they mean career and technology education or if they mean career development and technology education. So just some minor edits, maybe look at that paragraph again, and then it could be brought back, I suppose is what you'd have to do there. And then the next one, summer school instruction, no changes, update legal and cross-references, marked as reviewed. 603.3 is a special education one, and there, what you've got highlighted is special education students who cannot meet the requirements listed in Board Policy 505.05, which is that list of high school credits that many of you are familiar with, may obtain a certificate of attendance by meeting the graduation requirements listed in their individual education programs. It shall be the responsibility of the superintendent or designee and the area education director supervising special education to provide or make provisions for appropriate special education-related services. The caution I have there is to, because I do read the lawsuits pertaining to special education on rights law, is make sure these parents know that's coming before those kids are in high school. If your plan is to give them a certificate of attendance as opposed to a high school diploma at the end of their 4 years in high school, or 6 years, however many years they spend there, that should be decided well before they get into high school. And it's just be cautious with it, that the parents know what's going on, and it's not a surprise to them. You don't need to write that in the policy, it's just to be aware. And so I don't know what to say on that one unless people want to add to that. Teaching controversial issues made sense to me. It's just minor addition, update legal and cross-references, marked as reviewed. Global education, no changes, legal and update references, marked as reviewed. And then I think we're back to you, Dr. Schutte.
Were there any questions for Jan? So then 602.10, 603.2, 603.9R, 603.10 would be marked as reviewed. Do you want 603.1 to come back for a little bit of clarification on that?
Probably should, since that should be accurate.
Clean up that language on there? Okay. And then 603.3 will come back for a first reading to amend.
Okay.
Unless somebody wants to clarify what that language is in there.
No, so we're missing.
I think there's a word missing.
Missing science, and then I think career technology education should be, there should not be a
comma there
Comma in
after
there,
career.
Okay. Yeah, they were pretty minor, but not clear. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that was going to come back to amend.
And then we've got a new policy, 802.05, Buildings and Sites Adaptation for Persons with Disability. This is an IASB policy. We would bring that back for a first reading.
Any questions for Dr. Schutte on that one? Committee reports. We'll do the Facilities Committee first. Anything to add beyond?
What I heard Kevin say was that he felt that numbers were aligning well, that there wasn't a surprise there as far as what the projected amounts were and the other column that came in, $5,000, I think is the amount I heard. So numbers were aligning really well at this point in the planning session.
Darren, you want to talk about the Auditorium Foundation?
Yeah, and Bonnie's part of
Bonnie
this
as well.
too. So I know Jose was thrilled that the Auditorium Foundation had helped fund him having a better set of tools. And I think he maybe has worked with Todd to identify and purchase some of those for his use, but then also there was an identified need of student tools as well that we're going to need to be upgraded if they haven't. Jose himself installed the new projector, and so we saw that in living color today actually and yesterday, and it works wonderfully. Projector in the high school auditorium. Bonnie, Amy Ossie, Paul Seberger, and myself will be re-engaging with DLR to talk further about the ticket booth at the auditorium and what it will take to complete a renovation of that. And then there was discussion also about the annual fundraising letter, and so some people are going to be working on that, probably connecting with Abby too on that one. Anything else that comes to mind? I know we had a little bit of discussion as well about a project which has been hanging out there relative to replacing the back burlap wall and some carpeting there. And according to Jose, it's been a bit of a challenge to get multiple bids. I know Todd's worked on that as well, but generally the expectation is, especially locally, that if we can get multiple bids on those projects, that's preferred. So hopefully we can get moving on that so that maybe over winter break we can get that project done, because it's about 2 summers behind right now. But the Auditorium Foundation is positioned to fund it, so we just need to get the bids.
A couple of other projects that are out there would be to help update the sound system and the lighting system. And so they're on the radar, but those are big ticket items. And so fundraising will definitely need to be done for that, but that would really bring the auditorium equipment, modernize it hugely, bring us into the digital age rather than where we are currently. So, but that's in the future.
And those systems were part of that report we got from DLR as well.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Acer?
Sure. So we had a pretty well-attended Acer meeting from Marshall County's standpoint. They talked about everybody being back in the courthouse now, but shortly after that, they had a problem when we had that heavy heat week with condensation from their rooftop air conditioners, which flooded the courtroom. So the courtroom got flooded again.
Yeah, they were in a courtroom for less than a week.
Oh, horrible. I heard that. It was just
The county hired a new planning and zoning administrator, Tavia Stevens. We talked about the city and school district elections that are coming up. Joe Gaw, the new city administrator, was in attendance, so it was great to get to know him a little bit. They talked a little bit about the traffic cameras that they've located in town, and had said that there was never any intent in turning those into a profitable thing for the city, but due to people's lack of concern about them being there, it has turned into a pretty profitable situation. As far as the AA is concerned, Carrie Teskey was representing. She mentioned Joel Pedersen taking the new chief administrator position with Sam Miller's retirement. Interesting, they're looking at a similar approach to what we have with developing a campaign to tell their story, because the AAs, who are largely state-funded, have been defunded quite a bit over the years, and so they're working hard at Central Rivers anyway to tell the story about how they're a critical partner to us and other school districts in meeting the needs of students. Robin Lilienthal was not available from the college, but she had sent some notes, which were in the minutes, included in the minutes. MCC's had a 9.25% enrollment increase this fall.
nice.
They're over capacity with their housing units. They had interviews last week for the new replacement for Christy Fisher as president of Iowa Valley. That's supposed to be announced tomorrow at 4, I think, at a special meeting of the board of directors. Things are going well with their renovations of their Babe Harder Gymnasium. They're going to be hosting some big events here coming up. I don't know if that date's right. It says, did they host a big college fair on August 26th? That date sounds wrong. Maybe it's September.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Well, they've got a big job and career fair on October 4th, but they had something about hosting a major college fair where over 60 colleges were going to participate and like 1,200 students were coming. So I don't know if that's a past or an upcoming thing. And then Amy Piper from Iowa State University Extension indicated that they've hired a new person, Griselle Chavez, who's now the Latino Youth and Family Outreach Coordinator. I think they're particularly working with Miller Middle School, I believe, and recruiting some families to participate in that program. They also are developing an after-school program at Woodbury with parent volunteers. And then Shelley Lovell from the Waterworks talked about them working towards going out to bid for a new osmosis plant, which would be a $6 million, reverse osmosis plant, which would be a $6 million project, and they're anticipating their bids to be either to go out or be received in January 24. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of information. Okay, so September 26th, there's a major college fair that 60-plus colleges are doing, so that's pretty impressive that MCC's hosting that, and they've got over 1,200 students from our regional high schools that are signed up to participate.
Any items for any future agendas? What have we done this evening to improve education for the students in Marshalltown?
Well, we approved the college field trips for a trio.
How many staff members did we have that made lane changes, Nora?
49.
49. I mean, that's a pretty impressive thing. That's a pretty good deal for our kids. And your rushed CKLA training.
Training.
Yeah.
That will be nice too.
That's good too.
And sort of making plans to move ahead with the career technology.
Yeah.
Classrooms.
Well, Bonnie, we're going to get one last policy review out of you
Got it.
next week, or not next meeting.
Next meeting, got her done.
And then the committee meetings are starting to pick up, so just keep tabs on when your committees are meeting and be there and participate. With that, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
McGinnis, Faltus, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. We'll take about 5 minutes and we'll come back, start the work session, and be done in an hour or less.
Okay.